staying safe and well, and welcome to my little film and TV channel. And we got a biggie today. We've got a big blockbuster, obviously, since COVID. I think this is the biggest one that's been released to the cinema. It's also on Disney Plus as well at the same time, but yes, we're going to have a look at Black Widow today. Yes, back to the MCU universe. Let's have a look at MCU universe. I've doubled the universe here. I'm to MCU. We're back to the MCU. Black Widow. Let's have a look at that today. Please, if you're new to the channel, push that subscribe button, push the bell notifications. And all these vlogs are coming out. I do these reviews, I do information vlogs. I also do vlogs on my football team, Manchester City, as well. So if that's of any interest, or you know somebody might be interested, please give them a nudge in my direction. I'd be very grateful. There's links on screen for Facebook and Twitter. I do try and follow back everyone that does that. I do check every couple of days and follow everyone back on there, so that'd be fantastic. And there's a couple of eBay shops I've got as well, Movie Game Nostalgia and PYAT6505, PYAT6505 for old and rare DVDs, movie posters from the 90s and 2000s, and board games on there as well. So if you ever get a chance to check that out, much appreciated. And of course, all your comments welcome on this. If you've been to the pictures, I know quite a few people on Twitter I've seen are going to see it, or I've seen it, etc, etc. So let me know your thoughts. Anyway, I've shared mine. Let me know what you think of this film, and please, if you can, just give us a little thumbs up. It's nice to get views, but it's nice to get thumbs up as well. Right, yeah, Black Widow weighs in at a healthy 2 hours 13 minutes. That does include the credits, so it just crawls over 2 hours, I think, in total. And of course, it's a superhero film based on Marvel Comics featuring the character of the same name, of course, Black Widow. There's a few of them, isn't there? That's the thing. There's a lot of Black Widows. Produced by Marvel, of course, and distributed by Walt Disney Studios. There we go. It's the 24th film in the MCU. Marvel Cinematic Universe, directed by Kate Shortland from a screenplay by Eric Pearson. It stars, yes, Scarlett Johansson as our main character, Natasha Romanoff, Black Widow, Florence Pugh, yeah, as Yelena Belova, Black Widow, sister figure to Romanoff, David Harbour as Alexei Shostakov, the Red Guardian, of course, the Russian super soldier counterpart to Captain America, of course, and a father figure to Romanoff and Belova. Rachel Weisz as Melina Vostokov, Black Widow, yep. A seasoned spy trained in the Red Room as a Black Widow, and a mother figure to Romanoff and Belova. And of course, General Dreykov is Mr. Ray Winston, of course, the head of the Red Room. He doesn't quite intimidate as I would have hoped, to be honest with you, but there you go. We'll talk about that later. It's set after the events of Captain America's Civil War, so I mean, you want to watch that again before? Yeah, it might have been an idea. And the film sees Romanoff on the run and forced to confront a conspiracy tied to her past. It premiered on June the 29th, 2021 at various events around the world, and was released in the US on July the 9th and released here, I think, on July the 9th as well. What date are we now today? Let me have a quick look. I think you could have even watched it from July the 7th in the UK if you got it certain places. But obviously it's on Disney Plus with Premier Access as well as in cinemas and picture houses near you. Is it any good? Well, all these scores and comments are as at the 10th of July 2021, 11 AM UK time. Rotten Tomatoes, that's the guy we start with, isn't it? Holds an approval rating of 80%, so 80% positivity. That's based on 305 reviews, so a good fair sprinkling, and gets an average rating of 7 out of 10, so that's not too bad. And it's 243 fresh, but there's a big chunk of rotten, 62 rotten, so a little bit more than I thought there would be, actually, based on that percentage. A couple of the fresh reviews. Kevin Mayer from The Times here in the UK wrote, and yes, the climax, like all Marvel movie climaxes, is splattered with far too much physics-defying CGI work. Well, that's what CGI is there for, isn't it? We do it properly, otherwise, wouldn't we? But for once, and thanks to the meticulous character work from all concerned, you really care. Yeah, probably, yeah, to some extent. Karen James from the BBC.com, she wrote, Maybe it's no surprise that the film is entertaining and full of action. It is unexpected, though, that Black Widow may be the least Avenger-like movie in the series so far. Yeah, we'll come back to that later. Yeah, I quite agree with that little comment. Let's throw in just one of the rottens, because there was a sprinkling of rotten, wasn't there? Slant Magazine's Jake Cole, he didn't like it at all, no. Boiled down to its essence, the narrative isn't terribly hard to follow, but in execution of the film moves so haphazardly as to be bewildering. The sense, but if you put them all together, all the heads together, they come up with a closing paragraph. The consensus reads: Black Widow's deeper themes are drowned out in all the action, but it remains a solidly entertaining standalone adventure that's rounded out by a stellar supporting cast. There you go. I couldn't have put it more succinctly myself. Rotten Tomatoes audience, well, they quite liked it. 4.5 out of 5. So that's you get it towards 9 out of 10, so that's not too bad at all, is it? Metacritic, the other critic site we look at, an average of 68 out of 100, so slightly down, but not too much different to Rotten Tomatoes, and that's based on just 50 critics' reviews and scores. And it scores anywhere between 38 out of 100 and 80 out of 100. And Nick DeSemelin from the Empire magazine is one of our established magazines, of course. 80 out of 100, he gave it one of the top marks. He said it shouldn't really have taken 11 years for the Widow to get her own standalone adventure, but thanks to some zesty new character dynamics and smart twists, Marvel have finally done her right. Internet Movie Database, Joe Public, you, me, the watching guys, the guys at home, not the critics. 28,054 reviews as I'm doing this, 7.2 out of 10. So again, there's consistency, isn't there? 6.8, 7, 7.2. It's all around about the same score. And of that 28,054, 24,272 scored it 6 out of 10 or more. So that's 87% of that 28,000 plus. Give it 6 or more. And you know me, 6 is a watchable rating. So a lot of percentage, only 13% of people give it less than a 6 out of 10. So that's not bad, is it? It's not bad, but sort of a little slightly up on some of the critics' comments. Right, my thoughts on this, just for what they're worth. I'm a DC fan. I prefer DC to Marvel, but I do enjoy Marvel, so I sort of watch these with an open mind. Like DC and Marvel don't always hit the spot, do they? Don't always quite get it right. And I thought it struggled a little bit to fill the 2 hours. And it got a little bit static and humdrum on occasion, which is surprising because there's quite a lot of action scenes as well. I mean, it kicks off with a long action scene. It reminds me of another film I'll talk about in a moment, but yeah, even though it's a little bit humdrum, unfortunately you sort of quite like the characters by them. They keep the key players in this film, and there's some sort of pretty good chemistry overall between them. And so it does, even though it does get a little bit humdrum and less actiony, it does. There's some nice little humour as well that you sort of miss if you're not careful, but just nice little one-liners and stuff that I quite enjoyed. I found it quite humorous in some stages, so that helped to fill the time. But as I said, we can't just have 2 hours of action, can we? We do need a bit of a story. The action set pieces are excellent. As I said, the opening one was very, very good. It sort of not blew my mind, but I was quite impressed because obviously not every bit of CGI works, but I've seen far worse in Marvel, in MCU efforts, that's for sure. I've seen far worse in DC efforts. I've seen far worse CGI than there is in this. So yeah, I was quite pleased or quite happy with the CGI in this. The story isn't great. The story's pretty basic. I mean, you know, it's nothing overly complicated. There's no twists and turns in this one. And despite the decent action scenes, I always find it very hard to think what their target market is at the moment. I mean, obviously it's aimed at the Disney links, mean perhaps they're trying to get a younger audience involved, but this rate's PG-13 in the US. So I think that's probably the age group is probably about right, because I think under 13, I think we're struggling a bit. I mean, it may be odd ones who get a lot out of this, but I think anyone under that age may lose interest, as in adults and guys in the teens will lose interest as well at some parts of the film. But Yeah, it's interesting. As I say, with the Disney element, you expect it to be a bit more, if you like, of a younger thing, but it's not. It's more grown up. And for a superhero film, which is what it is, there isn't much super about it, unfortunately. It's more like this is what I was sort of saying before. I mean, you look at the opening sequence. It's like an opening sequence, say, from John Wick or the James Bond films. You know, with Craig. Daniel Craig sort of thing, you know, that's the feel I got from it. It's not really doesn't give me a superhero feel, which is fair enough. Not all the Avengers have superpowers, do they? But yeah, it just didn't give me that feel. I just felt as though I was watching more an action thriller rather than an actual superhero film. I do, and superhero films, I do like to watch superhero films as superhero films. So that's probably it's a small criticism, but it's very important to me. Certainly with a big blockbuster. I mean, this cost $200 million to put together, so I did expect just a little bit more something super, a little bit more super. Pardon the pun, but a little bit more super from it. A large screen, the better. As a large screen watch, yeah, it's okay. It sort of does the job. It's the bigger the screen you're gonna watch it on, the bigger effect you'll have. And I've known some people who've watched it 3 or 4 times on Disney Prime and then gone to the cinema and watched it as well because they did enjoy it. So yeah, the bigger the screen, probably the better, certainly for the action scenes, which are quite in your face. Whether they stand up as well as they do on the small screens, you probably see the joins a little bit more, but it's that big, you probably won't. Russian accents, yeah, the Russian accents and baddies are obviously a definite throwback, but we're talking about the story, aren't we? And the baddie, as I said, the baddie at the end, I didn't really care less whether he lived or died. To be honest, I want a baddie to be where I hate him and I cheer when something bad happens, and I didn't get any real thought of that. I was watching this. I didn't really think the baddie was that bad, unfortunately. I wanted to see a little bit more jeopardy, a bit more nastiness from the baddie. I mean, he wasn't, not a nice guy, but it just didn't sort of sit right in the whole film. Yeah, so really, not really, as I said, not really a superhero film for me, just a very, very watchable action thriller. That does rely on quite good action, a bit of humour. As I said, I quite like the humour. I like the chemistry through the main 4 protagonists, if you like, the main 4 element of it. But it was a little bit too long for me. And although, say, watching 2 hours of Johansson, Pugh, and Weiss certainly helped compensate. Certainly, as far as I'm concerned, anyway. But not everyone would get that sort. Not everyone would feel like that, would they? But at least that helped pass the time. At least there's always sort of one of them 3 ladies on the screen at some stage. Definitely passable. I just wanted a bit more wow factor in it. I just want a bit more super out of it. I just like a bit more super out of my superhero film. So I'm not going to be quite as high as Internet Movie Database. I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10, which is my basic watchable. I nearly give it a 6.5, but then I thought back and thought, no, I think it was okay, but I just generally there were times when I was a little bit disappointed with it, and I sort of had to sort of reconcentrate because it started to get a bit. It just started to lose me occasionally. So I'll give it a 6 out of 10, which is my watchable rating, which is fair enough. And as I say, there's checking through the Internet Movie Database reviews, even though obviously the majority of people do like it, there is quite a lot of criticism for it. But please, if you get a watch of it, let me know what you think. Anyway, whatever you're going to do this day, have a great one. Look after yourselves, look after your friends, look after your families. More importantly, let's all look after each other. So we meet here again on a film and TV channel, or perhaps have a flit across, have a look at my Citizen channel, my football channel. I only ask one thing: stay safe, everyone. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.